Let me introduce myself. My name is Shamil Ibragimov. I'm scholar in residence at Legatum Center for Entrepreneurship and Development at MIT. My area of research is about Central Asia. I do comparative analysis of innovative ecosystems for Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan. And today I'm pleased to host here at MIT Executive Director of IT Park Uzbekistan, Abdulakhad Kuchkarov, who you met. I want to greet you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. And I hope it's just the start of the series of talks about Central Asia. And here I would like to quote our executive director, Dina, who said in one interview that Central Asia as a region is a kind of an abandoned child in this innovative ecosystem map. Because unfortunately, there are not that much information about us, and quite often the Central Asia is perceived through the lens of cultural, anthropological, art perspective, but rarely the region is discussed as a region with the huge opportunities for innovations and for innovative-driven entrepreneurship. And today, we'll have a chance to speak more precisely about Uzbekistan. And Abdu, we know that IT Park Uzbekistan is relatively new structure that was created in Uzbekistan. And Uzbekistan showed really great figures in terms of the development. It's like for the last couple of years and the predictions for the next at least 5 years of the steady growth of 6% GDP growth a year for Uzbekistan. And that confirms our theory that those areas that we call quite often emerging markets, it's actually not just emerging markets, that's growth markets, how we call them at Legatum Center, because they have the highest pace of the growth. And Uzbekistan is a bright example of that. And from 2019 to 2022, Uzbekistan saw 300% growth in the number of fintech startups.
Yeah.
And I believe that's actually exactly when the IT Park was established, right? In 2019? 19.
Yes.
Could you tell us more? What is the role of IT Park of Uzbekistan, and what is your vision?
Yeah, thank you, Shamil. Again, thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here and see you. Yeah. Just one question. Who's never been in Uzbekistan? Wow. Okay. Let me say a few words about Uzbekistan. We are located in Central Asia. The population of Uzbekistan, 37 million. But one thing, it's unbelievable that every year the population of Uzbekistan growing up to 1 million. Just imagine, every year 1 million. In a 10-15 years, the population of Uzbekistan is predicted that like be a France in Europe. It's one of the biggest countries in the Europe. And IT Park created 2019 from 9/18, and we started from the scratch. Yes, when we started, the number of people who is working on IT, it was very little. It's more than 2,000 people. So at that time, worked at IT sphere, and when we started. Just for instance, that year the export of services from Uzbekistan to another countries was the $0.5 million US. At 2018, 0.5 million. Last year, it was $350 million US.
Wow.
Yep. And we started from the room. It's like a 5 times, I think, smaller than here. It was only 4 tables, like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 tables. I was the 5th member of the team. And Now, IT Park, it's a 2,500 companies, they're members of IT Park. We are like a free economic zone for IT companies. It's a zero taxes for IT companies. The companies do not pay any taxes. 2,500 companies. The number of employees at these companies, roughly 42,000 people working at these companies. Last year, the revenue of these companies was 1.2 billion USD dollars. And as I said, export revenue was 350 million USD dollars. And this year, we are anticipating, we are prognosing that the total revenue of our residents will be around 2 billion USD dollars, our members. The exporting will be a little less than 1 billion USD dollars. We are growing every year at least 2 times, from each year to another one, at least 2 times. And also, it's like when we're talking about ecosystem, like a tax preference, every country can provide tax preference. Yes, it's nothing. And when we started at the beginning, starting from the scratch, it's a very easy. It's a very easy. You don't have to change anything. You are just working, and that's all. You're just working, yes, and that's all. And at that time, we thought that if we provide tax preferences like IT sphere in Uzbekistan will grow, and thousand companies comes to Uzbekistan, and the current companies in Uzbekistan, they will hire people, they will create new jobs, but nothing to change, nothing to change. And after that, we are realizing that we have to create the ecosystem, the whole ecosystem. And on the top of ecosystem, it's taxes. The second point of ecosystem in Uzbekistan, infrastructure. We started create infrastructure not in Tashkent, but regions outside the Tashkent. In Uzbekistan, we have 14 regions, and we started to create infrastructure buildings in regions. And in whole regions, we created IT parks. And it's like an infrastructure building from 1,000 to 5,000 square meters, where IT companies can come, can gather, can share their knowledge, and we started to provide these buildings. Now, under the management, operational management of IT Park, more than 250,000 square meters all around Uzbekistan. I do not imagine how many. It's like these buildings. No, it's a 4 floors building.
7.
Yes, 7 floors. Like a 7-floor building, I think at least 7 floor buildings. Mm-hmm. The second step, it's infrastructure. And the third step, it's anyway, nothing changed. Yeah, companies comes, but yeah, it's changed, but it's, how to say, very little. And the next step, we are realized, and the entrepreneurs say that there are no people, there are no we are big country, 37 million, more than 200 universities in Uzbekistan. Among of them, 100, 7, 10 universities, it's foreign universities. And, but anyway, the quality, companies do not expect this quality as they need.
And here I would like to ask you one thing.
Yep.
What I noticed is that the understanding of entrepreneurship in Central Asia is focused about startups, those who just quite often replicate existing models, we will create our own Uber, or we will create our own Airbnb, or some other services. And there is almost no really deep tech startups. And there is a reason for that. Though, Uzbekistan national strategy for innovative economy development has a pretty ambitious goal to reach within the next few years revenue of $5 billion on export of the outsourced services for IT, which is great. But at the same time, and one more thing is that Uzbekistan among Central Asian countries has the highest expenditures of GDP for R&D. But it's still like 0.18% of the GDP. Just for comparison, the United States, they have 2.4% of GDP for R&D expenditures. Israel has 6%. South Korea has, if I'm not mistaken, like 4.5%. Kyrgyzstan has 0.06%. Kazakhstan has 0.12%. Uzbekistan, with the highest in the region, still 0.18%. Do you think that there is an understanding of the need to invest more in the R&D in Uzbekistan? Because in contrast with the many other growth markets, Central Asia, and particularly Uzbekistan, has a huge advantage. It's a young population, and this young population is pretty well educated. The level of literacy in Uzbekistan is 99.8%.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Uzbekistan, as well as other countries of Central Asia, they have one of the lowest outcomes of innovations, unfortunately. What is your thoughts about this? What are the major constraints in this deep tech development, and what are the plans of Uzbekistan in enhancing innovations in deep tech?
Yeah, thank you. Let me explain. For growing market, Uzbekistan is a growing market. For each stages, you need companies. For each stages, for growing on the on the ecosystem, you need some companies, you need some people, you need some infrastructure for this. And when we started, our first goal was the job creation in Uzbekistan. Mm-hmm. Due to that, our a focus from last 5 years was on the job creation, and we put 90% of our efforts and emphasis to the BPO market, business process outsourcing market. And we created thousands of jobs in Uzbekistan. A lot of people from Uzbekistan working on US for call centers, working for Germany, working for South Korea, Japan for call centers. I think only for US it's at least 150 to 200 call centers. They are working for United States market.
Based in Uzbekistan?
Based in Uzbekistan, yes. They're based in Uzbekistan. And for that time, because it's a very easy to enter to this market. For deep tech, it's difficult, yes. And from the beginning of this year, we understand that the people are growing, the knowledge of English of our university students. I think it's one of the best in our region, because in all private universities, the private universities should provide education only on English in Uzbekistan. 100 universities are providing education on English. And also a lot of people from Uzbekistan, they are going outside to get education. Uzbekistan, if I'm not mistaken, on the 5th place on the world, it's 150,000 people getting their master, bachelor degree outside Uzbekistan every year. And this year we realized that we have to shift to the startups, and we created the venture fund for startups. The size of this venture fund, it's $10 million. We invited global players in Uzbekistan, Plug and Play. Plug and Play opened the office in Uzbekistan. We are working with companies like StartX from the Stanford University. We are working with Alchemist from the Bay Area. We are working with Draper University because it's like for this stage, we have some companies. It's like not fund companies, but it's like a tier 2 companies, and they the people working in these companies, like EPAM, like other software developing companies, they're getting some knowledge, like a foreign expertise, and they started to create their own startups. And we see that we need to provide financial services. We need to provide loans for our startups. We need to provide sometimes credits, and we need to provide venture finance for our startups. And for these stages, we created, like, as I said, venture fund. We created like a fund for financial startups for credit and loans. For credit and loans, we have a fund size of $25 million US. And for deep tech, I think it's our next step. It's difficult because it's for deep tech. You need knowledge. It's a lot of people should be from Uzbekistan should be here in the United States. They have to come back and they have to make a joint research, etc., etc.
I mean,
but I'm sure that we'll come to the stage as well.
MIT is the place to come.
Yes,
for
it's the
deep
best
tech,
place.
for sure. And that's what differentiates Cambridge from Silicon Valley, actually.
Yeah, right.
But when we speak about positioning of Uzbekistan on the global market, what I noticed, and that's the reason why we started at Legatum Center this focus on Central Asia, is the fact that we still, as I mentioned at the beginning, right? It's like abandoned child, and it's terra incognita. And countries, when they try to compete on the global market just individually, they quite often fail because, like, Uzbekistan by itself is not really such a big market, right? Neither Kazakhstan or Kyrgyzstan or Tajikistan. And unfortunately, we didn't see much efforts for the regional integration, for positioning us as a solid region, as a big market.
Yeah.
Well, and here is the question: is like, what do you think are the major constraints for this integration? But before you answer, just to give a context with numbers, the whole region of Central Asia, and if I'm not mistaken, even partly
90 million.
Yes, 90 million.
90 million.
It was like actually in 2023, the VC capital that was fundraised was about $100 million for 1 year for the entire region. And for comparison, just India fundraised, let me be precise, just India fundraised $25 billion. Middle East raised $3.94 billion, and Southeast Asia raised $17 billion in venture capital. And the whole Central Asia is like 0.1 billion, which, to my opinion, shows a huge potential that the region is so underfunded, and there are so many opportunities for venture capital that is simply not aware of the region. And hence, the question is, what do you think, how we can build this consolidation and regional integration, and what might be the role of entrepreneurship in this process?
Yeah, if we talk only about Uzbekistan, it's only 37 million. It's the point of somewhere in nowhere, yeah? And if we talk about whole region, it's Uzbekistan, Central Asia, and Caucasus countries, it's more than 110 million people. It's a huge population, it's a big market, and now, before that, we tried to compete with Kazakhstan, with Kyrgyzstan, with Tajikistan, but when we go like in US, in other markets, the people don't know about Uzbekistan. It's nothing to compete. There's no market for us to compete. And we have to promote, not Uzbekistan, we are promoting like our Central Asian region here, and also we started this cooperation with Kazakhstan, with Astana Hub, also the major player in Kazakhstan, with Astana Hub, and we are going to conferences We went to like in TechCrunch with a booth and promoting Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. We are going to the next in a week in Lisbon to promote and bring our startups to these countries and promote our region. And if we have a big market, also, as you said, the ventures comes. Ventures need the big markets. And 110 million, it's a big market. And at the Baku, we had a conference and we gathered all venture funds in our region and say them, if startup is coming to you, you have to say to them, you have to start operations immediately in Kazakhstan, Astana, Almaty, Uzbekistan, Tashkent, Azerbaijan, Baku. If this works, you can provide some finances and startup can start their operation. If this will not work, startup doesn't need money because the market for instance, Azerbaijan is how many? 7 million, 10 million, it's very few. Kazakhstan, 17 million. It's a very small market.
Kyrgyzstan is 7 million.
Kyrgyzstan, yes. Yeah. Azerbaijan is about 10 to 30 million. Yeah. And we have to collaborate together in Central Asian countries. And if we collaborate, we can attract investors.
So the question is what is the role of entrepreneurship? Because on the geopolitical landscape, we have many constraints and we know about them, And maybe sometimes I think it's even naive to expect that there will be a political will for that kind of collaboration. But what might be the role of entrepreneurship? What you can do on your level to enhance this integration, regional integration?
Yes, the entrepreneurship, it's important for this. Because the government people can say, you have to do this, you have to do this, but if entrepreneurs do not realize these plans, it's nothing, it doesn't need. And due to that, we are talking with entrepreneurs that they have to open their ventures not only in Uzbekistan, in other regions. They have to cooperate together with other companies, with companies from Kazakhstan, from Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and also when they're starting opening companies, not only in this country. For instance, we have a great example in Tajikistan. One of the big company in Tajikistan. It's the name of this company Alif. It's a banking. In Tajikistan. They are started from the banks. They have own bank in Tajikistan. And when they come to Uzbekistan, they ask us what we have to do in Uzbekistan. We said, try to do what you do best in Tajikistan, and try to find out the niche, try to find out the product market fit for your new products. And now they are working in Uzbekistan, they're hiring people, they are working also, they have some created additional, I think, 4 or 5 ventures in Uzbekistan. 4 or 5 companies in different sectors. The same thing with Uzbek companies. They're going to the Kazakhstan and opening ventures. And I think it's a most important thing if we talk about regional collaboration. The entrepreneurs have to talk with each other, have to create a joint projects, one founder from Kazakhstan, one founder from the Tajikistan, one founder from Kyrgyzstan, another one from Azerbaijan.
Great, thank you so much. And I would like to give an opportunity to our guests to raise their questions, if any. Any questions? Okay, let me then ask my question. What I noticed is that in Uzbekistan, the only one unicorn startup so far is in fintech, Uzum. And the same in Kazakhstan. There is one unicorn already that is valued for over $1 billion.
Yes.
Kaspi Bank, also fintech. What do you think? What might be the next great areas with the highest potential for development as a startup? What sectors?
You know that in Uzbekistan, as you said, Uzum, in Kazakhstan, Kaspi, I think our region, it's like a market. Yes, at the market, some companies can be undervalued. Yep. And Uzbekistan, due to that, Uzbekistan companies was like when 5 years ago and sometimes till now, it was very closed Uzbekistan market. And foreign companies do not come and open companies, but it's like 5 years ago, a lot of changes from that time. And if we start collaboration with Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Azerbaijan, Georgia, I think that we do not need new companies for unicorns. A lot of unicorns will appear because the valuation of these companies, existing companies, will grow in at least 2, 3, 4 times up because they open a new market. For example, some companies working only in Kazakhstan, like say Choco family, the valuations about 200, 300 million US dollars. But if they start their operations not only in Kazakhstan, but if they include Uzbekistan and other countries, the valuation will grow up at least for 1 billion.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And using the moment that we are here, you're here at MIT, and back to this question of the deep tech technologies development, you mentioned that this is your next stage. What do you think your biggest gaps are, and what would you need, to your opinion, from such institutions as MIT to enhance your capabilities in deep tech?
Yeah, thank you. As you said that R&D investments in Uzbekistan and in our countries, it's not big. But anyway, for our country, we have to invest in R&D, and invite fellows from the MIT to Uzbekistan and send our researchers from Uzbekistan to MIT to other big universities and sharing knowledge. Yes, if some researcher that they are working on and didn't see what other doing, and he do not understand where the industry is going, and they definitely should see MIT labs and understand where the trends, where to go, and where to find some niche for research.
Mm-hmm. I read some news that the World Bank approved $50 million allocation for Uzbekistan to develop AI. What is your strategy for AI development? Is it from the perspective of the deep tech, or it's more from practical point of view, integration of AI in government, in something else?
Yeah, it's a $50 million for AI. 50 million. It's not World Bank. It's a government allocated. Government allocated 50 million. But also we have some World Bank. I will say later about this project. And 50 million for modernizing and enhancing startup industry. And also just I think 1 month ago, we published a strategy for enhancing AI in Uzbekistan, AI strategy till 2030. And the results of this strategy should be next. The first is added value for economy should be $1.5 billion. Added value for startups should be $1.5 billion. The revenue of startups in just working only in AI sphere, it's $1.5 billion. Mm-hmm. The second one is the added value for economy, for GDP, should be 10.5%. It's a very ambitious goal.
Wow.
10.5%. It's AI and digital economy should be in Uzbekistan. Now it's less than 7%. I think 6.5% the IT and telecom sector on GDP. And The third one, Uzbekistan should be on the top 30 countries on the AI readiness for government. It's mainly three things, and also that a lot of like sub goals, like creating AI labs, creating like inviting in Uzbekistan like researchers from US, from other countries, and doing some research in Uzbekistan, sending researchers outside of Uzbekistan for AI, and creating infrastructure for AI. Mainly it's data centers because it's we have for AI. It's one of the most important things. The first is knowledge, the second one is infrastructure, where they can deploy their project, and due to that, like creating infrastructure in Uzbekistan for AI.
Thank you so much. Any questions?
Yep,
yes.
yep,
Now
please.
we have two questions. Nadia, please.
My question, thank you so much for talking to us. My question is the role of government in Uzbekistan for promoting entrepreneurship and any tech like AI, for example. What do you think it should be? That's one question. How it can enhance the ecosystem.
Yep.
And number two, what is the current state and status of the government today compared to where you think it needs to be?
Yes, thank you. Let me say, when we started in Uzbekistan doing something, it was a scratch, it was nothing. For instance, when we started operations in the regions, in some small districts, we started from the IT education. There are no any IT education centers in the regions. We just was the first company in Uzbekistan who invested in educational centers in our regions. And I think government should start, and we started push other entrepreneurs, and after that the government should step back, and the entrepreneurs should on the working and continue working and these things. For instance, we do the same thing. We opened 210 educational centers in IT in whole Uzbekistan, and after that we are supported these centers 3 years, and after that we
you mean by us? You mean
government?
Yeah,
by IT Park. We are
Park.
supported by IT Park. We are supported these centers. We are financed. We are subsidized the programs. And after that, but we see that in these regions, for example, when they started, it was no any educational centers, and in 3 years it was 1, 2, or 3, and now our educational centers competing with others, and we said, okay. Just our mission is complete. There are a lot of educational centers we do not need to support, and all of these educational centers, we make a tender and say entrepreneurs, you can take these centers and use, and we do not need anything from your side for this one.
Are they for adults, these educational centers? Like what education level in order for me to enroll? Are they for adults?
These centers mainly for high school students. Yes, mainly for high school students. The second example.
So
now,
why not integrate that education within the high schools if it's for high school students? If it's coming from the government?
You know that I think, the change program on a high school or on the university, it's a very difficult. I don't know how in the US, but in Uzbekistan, if you want to add something, if you want to change the program, it's a very difficult in Uzbekistan. You have a lot of bureaucracy. It's not what I think, tons of bureaucracy. And but market need some skills, I don't know, in AI, in software development. But yes, and we created our own educational centers, and in order to face that market needs.
To supplement.
Yes, right. And we go put our center and say, entrepreneurs, you can take these educational centers and use them. The same thing now with a venture investment, and we see that a lack of venture investments in Uzbekistan for startups on seed and pre-seed stage. And we created our own like a venture fund. And we are starting to investing in startups. And also the main role is when the market, angel investors and private funds will like growing and starting the operations in Uzbekistan. The same thing, we do not need our own venture fund in Uzbekistan. Just we are put our emphasis not on pre-seed and seed stage, but maybe Series A, Series B stage. I think yes.
Are you being the high technology partners
Yes.
that you lead?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. And we have Oscar.
I had just a practical question. So let's say if I'm a company in the US and I'm looking to collaborate or I'm looking for some alternative to Western companies, let's say in AI or some other fintech, how do I find these companies that are in Uzbekistan right now? How do you guys promote yourself here?
Yeah, thank
Is there
you.
any way to
Thank you.
for companies in the US to be aware of what's going on?
Yes, I see. Thank you. Yeah, in IT Park, we created like a sales department. At one moment, it was about 60 people who work at this department. And how to say, in other words, they promote Uzbekistan and they're selling Uzbekistan for foreign companies. Because if you, for instance, you don't know about Uzbekistan, yeah? If someone say, let's open company and let's cooperate with India, you say, okay, I know about India, but in Uzbekistan there are no any people. And at one moment it was 60 people who are selling Uzbekistan, who provide information about Uzbekistan. They sent messages from the emails, from LinkedIn, the cold calls. We bought some databases and etc., and participated some exhibitions and some conferences. Now we understand how to attract company in Uzbekistan. Every month, from 20 to 50 companies, foreign companies with foreign shareholders, coming to Uzbekistan and opening their office. It's from 20 to 50. But we realized that another problem. When they are coming to Uzbekistan, they very slowly starting their operations. Because you need, for instance, you opened company in Uzbekistan. Yes, we help with open company. It's in a one window, like a one-stop shop. We help you to open company in Uzbekistan. It will be 1 or 2 days maximum. But after opening company, you need to hire director. You need to hire accountant. You need to find out office. You need to find out some software developers for your company. And company is doing it very, very slowly. And understand this problem, like it's very agile, yes? We created another department, we call them soft landing department. Took these 25 people from sales and said, okay, now you are supporting companies. You bring some companies, brought some companies, and now you have to support them. And your support should be until they reach at least 100,000 revenue. When they reach this revenue, okay, they do not need any support from our side. But till they reach 100,000 revenue, you have to support them. It's like one area. The second area, some companies would not tend to open companies in Uzbekistan, but they find out some a partner in Uzbekistan, like a company which can be work. And when we realized this problem, we also opened one department, we called this department a local to global, and helping local companies to connect with foreign companies. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, please, you and.
So I'm actually curious. I wanted to double click on one of the questions that Shamil asked. Primarily, I'm curious to see which sectors in Central Asia startup ecosystem are showing the most promise and how they kind of relate to the region's like traditional economic strengths?
Yep. I think that was one of the most promised sector. It's a fintech. And please visit Uzbekistan and you understand how the fintech working in Uzbekistan. It's a much better than US because we are all fintech sector starting from the scratch. Yes, and the fintech sector in Uzbekistan, for example, in Kazakhstan and Turkey, I think one of the best on the world. I was in a lot of countries, but in our countries, it's one of the best because it's from the scratch. There are no any transaction costs from like switching from one ABS system in the bank from the another ABS system at the bank. It's no any because there are no any like a software in the banks at that time when we created. And the second, I think direction is agriculture. I'm sure that a lot of one of the biggest potential in agriculture and agriculture startups in Uzbekistan using some artificial intelligence, using some visual technology, AI in vision, some drones can improve rapidly, improve radically agriculture sector in Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and other our countries. Because our government would like to move, would like to shift from the agriculture because like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I think 70 maybe percent there, or maybe more, used to work in only agriculture sector. And our government would like to move from the agriculture to production to the high-tech technologies.
Thank you. Valeria?
You have described multiple sources of revenue for the technology part, and it would be very helpful if you highlight how it has evolved. Where did it obtain his seed funding, and where do you see it going in terms of
I see.
the mechanism, the business model
Yep.
to sustain all this growth?
Yes, thank you, thank you. The first, our cash cow, it's like our companies, our members. They are paying 1% of their revenue to IT Park. It's like the first. It's like a first. The second, from infrastructure. As a traditional IT park, it's like a, when I say IT park, it's like mostly people understanding some business centers, but in Uzbekistan IT park, as I said, it's a whole ecosystem we created. And the second stream of revenue, it's from the, when we provide for leasing some spaces, we're getting some revenue. It's the same, a lot of money from this stream of revenue. The third stream, we got the a credit line from the World Bank for a $50 million IT park. It's a IT park for $50 million. We have a line from the credit bank, and I'm not sure what the percent, but we are using this money.
$10 million from $50 million
Yes.
allocated for
Yes.
for investments.
Yes, the fourth revenue stream, we for a big infrastructure project, creating this type of building, we are asking government. We are asking government to build this building, and we manage this building. We are operate and using and some and we share the profits from the lease with government.
Thank you. We may have just time for one more question, if any. If not, I want to thank you, Abdu, for your very
Thank you.
insightful introduction to Uzbekistan, and it's great to see that there is a political will to support and develop an innovative ecosystem in Uzbekistan, and understanding of the importance for the regional integration and regional collaboration. And I'm pleased to hear that deep tech development is the next stage for you, because this is where we see the avenue for collaboration with MIT and I hope that it will work. And thank you so much for your time with
Thank
us,
you.
for this introduction, and I hope that it was useful for our participants. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you.